Barbary. Tom Brady comeback? Question mark? Maybe. Here Tom Brady is on the Deep Cut podcast with Vic Blends talking about a potential part-time Flacco-esque comeback. Take a listen.
Let's say one day there's a situation, right? Maybe it's the 49ers, maybe, heading to the playoffs. Offense is great.
Patriots,
somebody,
Raiders,
look,
could be, you never know.
God forbid somebody goes down. Would you pick up that phone?
I'm not opposed to it. If they would, I don't know if they're going to let me if I become an owner in the NFL team, but I don't know if, I don't know. I'm always going to be in good shape. I'll always be able to throw the ball. So to come in for a little bit, like MJ coming back, I don't know if they let me, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Wow. What? Wow. MJ played 82.
Yeah, the MJ came
only
back
17 games, so that's impossible. He come back for a few years. All right, Nick, your immediate reaction. You spotted this story and were giddy.
It's a crazy story. First of all, Tom, set your sights a little higher. I mean, the MJ Wizards comeback. Come on, you can do better. He can do better. I mean, he can
Maybe
do better.
Be the 10th
I don't think that he wants to come back to be, under 500. I find this fascinating. I wonder how much of this is because of Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like, hold on a second. I can do that.
Yep.
I wonder how much of this is because he throws out their Patriots, which I find interesting because to me I would dismiss the Raiders out of hand, even though he mentions them, because the Raiders are not going to be good. I'm not saying that as a Chiefs fan. I'm saying that because they are in the process of trying to rebuild.
You don't think they have more than the Patriots?
No. So that's what I kind of interrupted myself. Let me explain it. I think there is either the play quarterback for a contender that loses their quarterback path, or final run with the team I played with forever, New England.
But the Wizards thing makes the MJ Wizards part ownership thing kind of has some parallels.
And Jordan had to give up his ownership, of course.
Yeah, but I don't think Tom's stuff is totally locked in yet.
Yeah, but I just also don't think that there's a reason, and we can, poke you guys. I'm not trying to do Jordan LeBron stuff, but in the Jordan stuff, we just kind of ignore the Wizards years. Like, when I bring them up, it's told it's unfair. It's because it's kind of like a weird blemish. Like, I don't think that's what – I know he mentioned the Raiders, and maybe he's more optimistic about the Raiders than I am. But I'll give you a team that if we were to have this thought exercise, hey, guys, I'm telling you Tom Brady plays at least one game for a football team this year. List them 1 through 32 from most to least likely. You know what team is sneaky high on the list of could be in contention, could have a playoff caliber roster that is in absolute win now mode with a real potential of needing multiple quarterbacks? The New York Jets. And I know that makes you sick. I know that makes you sick. Well, but I'm just asking you, if Rodgers were to go down in November, is that not the first call?
Absolutely.
It already happened, and they don't do that.
Well, they didn't think he would come back.
Well, he wouldn't.
Now he's saying
not to the Jets.
He looks like he's saying you don't think he'd go to the Jets just because they're in the division?
No,
that the Patriots were in?
Just because they're the Jets. He's not ending his career with the Jets.
Okay, well,
we can move on to Joker now if you want to. We're not talking about Brady going to the Jets.
You're gonna get mad again.
And then I'll shut up. Tell me if you agree here. Last year, Rodgers goes down minutes in, even if they knew, Brady would do it. They were not going to do anything like that to Aaron and the relationship with Aaron.
Fair.
If Aaron gets hurt this year, I don't think the Jets are that worried about their relationship with Aaron moving forward. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, it would mean it didn't work out. But if they were, and I don't think they're going to be that good, but you think they could be good, if they look like a contention adjacent and he goes down, so they're on the list. The Rams, just because they have an old quarterback who's dealt with injuries.
So you're talking about if a guy gets injured.
If a guy gets injured, exactly.
Yeah, so, okay. This is the way how I look at it. I don't think this is, I don't think the Jets are a realistic option. I mean, I guess theoretically possible, but since he's obviously so entrenched with the Patriots, it's Patriots, I just don't see Tom Brady doing that. You know, I mean, the Patriots are his home. He is the New England Patriots, and I just don't see him doing that. Unless maybe there's a true chance at, like, you know, he can just walk himself into a Super Bowl. But also, like, I don't know if he trusts, you know, the OC. I don't know if I see him going into that situation. I guess it's possible. I mean, it would be fascinating to see, quite honestly. But you're right. I don't see him just jumping over to the Raiders either. I don't see him putting himself in a situation like the Jordan Wizards years. I only see him maybe going to a team, right, like the Rams, where it's like, okay, we got a legit roster. We got Sean McVay. We can make magic happen. Let's go. Or the 49ers, like some of these situations where you can legitimately succeed, right? The Detroit Lions have a squad. They are balling out, right? They are 12-0. Let's go. And then, oh my God, Jared Goff, he you know, breaks his arm, you know, God forbid, you know, like that I could see, you know, like those types of situations. But I'm just not seeing it. And I don't know, though, actually, you know, because even in that situation, like if I was Tom Brady, I would still do it. But it is an interesting question as to what would people consider. Let's say he won a Super Bowl. Let's say my Detroit Lions example, right? Where they're like, you know, 12-0, 13-2 or something, you know, just something great. They're doing great. They're the second or first seed. And Jared Goff goes down. And so now, you know, they say call Tom Brady. And Tom Brady comes in. Let's say he wins the Super Bowl. Do people count that against him? Do they say, well, he doesn't, that Super Bowl has an asterisk next to it? I don't know. Because football is such an individual game-by-game type thing that I don't know if that counts against him, you know, in a lot of ways. Especially if he balls out. Like, if he steps up. I mean, I think even you would still give Tom Brady credit if Jared Goff took them to the Super Bowl, the Detroit Lions to the Super Bowl, but then he got injured in the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game. And they call Tom Brady, and Tom Brady steps up and wins the Super Bowl. I think they still say, look how amazing Tom is. He hasn't been playing football for years. He doesn't even know the playbook, and he stepped up and threw for 420 yards, you know, whatever it is. You know, like I could see that. That just adds to the legend and myth rather than, oh, he just piggybacked and got another Super Bowl. Maybe if he steps in and it ends up being like a Peyton Manning type Super Bowl where the guy throws for like 8 times or whatever when he won the Denver Broncos. But everyone still credits that to him, even though he didn't even play the full season. And what was it, Brock Osweiler? And then again in the Super Bowl, he did nothing, and yet he got the Super Bowl win. You know, so. I think it's interesting. Football is more unique in that regard where it's not like basketball. LeBron James couldn't miss a whole season, come back in the playoffs and win, or miss the whole season and come back just for the NBA Finals. People would be ripping him apart. You know, Tom Brady, I think maybe potentially has that luxury, but it gives more fuel to the Patrick Mahomes people who love Patrick Mahomes and say that he's the GOAT. They'll use that against him. Oh, Tom Brady's other Super Bowl is not real because, you know, he just piggybacked off of the Rams, the Lions, whoever. So it's interesting. But at the same time, it's hard for me to imagine. The only team that I could see Tom Brady playing again for where he has no chance at winning, and it is just one last hurrah, and just like, man, I just want to play. I got one more year left in me. I just really want to play, and maybe even do like a whole goodbye tour, farewell tour. Would be the Patriots, right? Would be back in that jerseys, universal love, and all that, and then, you know, if he only wins 4 or 5 wins, it's like it doesn't really matter. But I don't know. Tom Brady is so hyper competitive. And is such, you know, wants to win. I'm not so sure he even puts himself in that situation. But I don't know. I mean, I think it really all depends on what he wants out of life. Is he looking at legacy? Does he care? Does he really desperately want to try to win one more Super Bowl? I honestly thought that he had a couple more years left into him. I think when they failed in Tampa Bay, his final season, that was not his fault. You know, that was more on Tampa than Tom. I mean, they're asking him to throw the ball 80 times a game, which was just like, you know, outrageous. It's like, what the heck are you doing? You know, like, so I think, you know, that was, you know, poor management on their part. But yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting question. Because, the other question is like, what if Tom Brady gets to the Super Bowl in any of the circumstances, whether he's starting from game one or, just gets to play in the Super Bowl just because of a freak accident injury, like I outlined, and then Patrick Mahomes beats him, right? Like, does that mean anything? Can people say, oh, look, he beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl? It's like, well, he only played for one game. Like, he hadn't played in years and he just jumped to the Super Bowl. How do you expect him to win? Or if he then wins and he's like, look how much better he is than Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't even need to play. He hasn't played for years. He stepped up and outdueled Patrick Mahomes. Like it's you can paint the narrative however you want, whatever lens you're looking through, whatever bias lens you want to look through. So it's a fascinating story. I think it's probably largely much ado about nothing. Podcasts and interviews like that. Listen, I've done a fair bit of them, interviews and stuff like that in other podcasts. Both like on TV, radio, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that because you're just kind of talking, and I'm not as famous or had much race, so I don't know how calculated a Tom Brady is in that moment. But I know if I'm just kind of chilling and I'm happy and living life, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, I'd come back maybe, depends on the situation. Let's go. And it doesn't mean I really mean it, but Tom Brady knows that a lot more people are listening to his words. So I think he's probably being more intentional than someone like me in that situation. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. So let me know. What do you think? Do you think Tom Brady could actually come back? And what would be an ideal situation for him to come back into? Let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe. We are building such an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with the visibility, and it helps combat the haters. Thank you so much, and see you next time.